So hey guys, Matt here with another episode of Costa Rica Crypto, and today I have the pleasure of speaking to Filip from the first ICO on EOS, which is currently open, and it's kind of a really cool idea. And I'm going to let Filip kind of break it down for you guys, but it brings me back to my early days of doing focus groups, and I think that he's aiming to disrupt a major industry, and I like the way that he's doing it. But without further ado, I want to introduce Filip. And Filip, do you mind just kind of telling us a little bit about yourself, where you came from, how you got yourself into EOS, and kind of some of the ideas behind the project, and maybe break down the project as if, you know, and I always say this, as if your 12-year-old was kind of asking you a question about it.
Okay, so we are a team from Warsaw to start with. How I started with EOS, it was, in fact, I am probably one of the very first believers, because we heard about EOS around probably May or June when it was really announced, maybe a couple of weeks before. And we really we were like following the projects with my friend, that we were simply also investing in cryptocurrencies and looking for the projects. But I worked for many years as a database developer, and at some point I started to realize that in fact blockchain is some kind of database. It's simply just a public database, but this is really a database. And as a database developer, normally you handle, I don't know, millions of transactions, or in very short time, right? You have to process them very fast. And when I started to compare, let's say, what is offered by Ethereum, I realized it simply cannot be done like a real world solution. So I started to think that, okay, most of the projects cannot simply go beyond proof of concept. So it means that they can show you like the demo, but they will have really strong problems with really going mainstream, right? Because like CryptoKitties killed last year the whole Ethereum network, and this was like really the eye opener for general public, right?
Absolutely.
And so I had this project in mind for a couple of years. In fact, in 2015 already, I had this idea of doing this application for voting for polls, and really it waited a bit just for me to gather the funds simply to start the project, right? Because I think it's not possible right now to do something like in garage, that you are like a student and you are doing a project part-time, right? It does not make any sense, because the competition is always very, very strong. And just to say, the SurveyMonkey is like the leading company conducting surveys, and they are valued for around $2 billion US. And Survey Gizmo, like the company that decided, okay, to create some competitive product, they gathered around $80 million US. Yep. Even not just to create like the other product, right? So it's not possible, just working part-time to do something. So in 2016 I was like working and in 2 jobs, and And then in 2017 we had just also this crypto gains, because I think that it was really great year for most of investors. So I started just I decided to start the project, and also with EOS, I realized that there is a chance to make something real. I mean, not just to pretend that we are doing some blockchain project and eventually fail, but that EOS software creates this chance that we can make it, right? Not only talking about the idea. So this was like our I think my goal always to make some real world projects. And regarding our solution, I think if you have some experience with market research, I think that also people that we meet, let's say during in the conferences, like in Blockyard in Gdańsk, or Blockchain Expo Europe in Gdańsk, and they have some relation with market research, they are immediately great supporters of our project, because I think that the major problem is that billions of questions each year, right, are asked. I mean, we made a calculation that this is well over 100 billion questions that are asked each year, because people, like the companies, want to know, what do you think about, I don't know, product and so on. And also it's simply that they are repeating the same questions, because some people, some company ask about themselves and also about the competitors, and the competitor ask about the other company. So they repeat the questions because there is no market for the data. This is one part of the story. And the other part of the story is simply that the people that create value answering all those forms are not paid, because even some solutions, in some cases you can get paid for like answering one time filling in the survey. But in our solution, we just put the whole focus is on the person to take part and provide those answers. Because what is going on? We are tokenizing the whole economics of the polls and surveys, so that if a user, let's say, if an, let's say, organizer, and maybe I will give the example of what we already have. So the application, the web application for conducting, for audience engagement. So asking the audience during live events like conference a question, what do they think about the conference, or what do think about certain subject. I don't know whether Mercedes is better than Toyota or so on. So this is what we have, and so if an organizer creates a poll in our application, right, he has to pay us. And really, the fact is that this is still, we started with those live polls because they have certain characteristics that made them very profitable. And also there is no much competition, because there are plenty of applications to create just a poll, and you can, it's for free. But really, when you have live event, it's simply the audience answers in the same moment, so they send you the answer in the same second. So the application has to process, let's say, I don't know, 1,000 of votes in the second. And in normal cases, it's just they are spread, and really this is not so much, performance needed, and also there are some other features like social sharing and also So basically, if the organizer uses our app, right, and we charge him, let's say, I don't know, right now it's like $40 for 250 participants. I don't know, right? So part of the money can go to the event participants, those that decided to register in our app and were providing those answers, right? So they can get those tokens. The trick is here, because normally people are not willing to do any kind of actions right now, because they have, a bunch of different, I don't know, stimulus, right? Things to do. So they are using their app, smartphones, but not answering the questions, just searching Google and so on. So here is the trick is that we have certain amount of tokens that the organizer paid us to be split among participants. And if only one participant, decided to register and to vote, then he gets all the tokens, And once, it may be worth, I don't know, maybe $20, let's say, right? For bigger events or with, token price increase, it can be worth really much, because he gets his share. But later on, so this is like we are tokenizing it because part of the money goes directly to the participant. So they are incentivized to take part. But the other part of the story is making this market for the data. So that let's say I'm the analyst of some other company, and I think, okay, so maybe let's do a survey, right? But it turns out that, okay, in our database, he can check that actually this kind of question was asked multiple times. So maybe instead of spending money, right, and doing it on your own, just simply to pay, right, for accessing the results, right? So this is the other part of the story. And the trick is that in our solution, if this like third party pays for accessing the data is also split between the organizer. Part of the money also goes to our project, and part of the money and obviously like the half goes to participants. So this is really cool, because because who creates value, right? The value is created by participants, right?
Filip, all right, so I like to play this game. So I'm going to take what you just said, and I'm going to try to compartmentalize it, and then I want you to let me know if I'm on the right track or if I'm not on the right track, right? So very simply put, to like a 12-year-old who was asking me, what does this app do? This app incentivizes people to answer research questions that somebody wants answered, or perhaps answered simultaneously at an event when massive transactions are possible. And not only does it incentivizes people to answer that by tokenization. And what I've kind of heard from you, and let me know if I'm basically on the right track. I've used SurveyMonkey before. I use it on a regular basis with my regular business. What you're aiming to do is to build a decentralized SurveyMonkey, which you've already spoken about, is an absolutely massive market. There's a huge amount of potential for SurveyMonkey, but when I use SurveyMonkey, I just pay for SurveyMonkey. I'm sure that what's happening behind the scenes is they're probably processing my data. They get, they get to keep the data that I've collected. I get my answers from my one survey. I can pay them to get other people to do that survey. But essentially, I'm paying. With your app actually incentivizes answers to participate in these surveys because of the quick transaction speed of EOS. They're actually able to they're able to answer, you know, if it's a live event and they need to collect data very, very quickly, they're able to do that. The people who are giving the answers are incentivized by tokens, so they do want to participate in this project itself. And furthermore, once their data is on the blockchain, if somebody else wants to ask a similar amount of questions or a similar theme of questions, they can go back to process further data where the person who initiated the survey, as well as the people who answered, are paid out. So it's just a big decentralized SurveyMonkey. With some
yes, with one important remark.
Yes.
It is that what goes on the blockchain, right? On the blockchain go the transactions. So this is the transparent process of who gets paid and which amount. So everyone can see, okay, is that I was paid fairly, right? That okay, this is the proper amount. The other thing is that what goes to the blockchain in terms of which data from the survey, it is not possible to store all the data because it would be like just too expensive. Let's say, you know, if let's say one survey, right, can generate, I don't know, 100 megabytes of data. So storing this data would not be economically correct, and it would probably cost, I don't know, much more with current RAM prices that we want to gather in our ICO. So what we are doing is we are calculating the hash. So it's like there is like a hashing function that simply takes this 100 megabyte of data and calculates, let's say, a number, and this is very long number that you know can be calculated really with almost certainty that this number, you know, you have to have this data, this 100 megabytes of data to get this number, right? So we are storing the hash of data. So, and the rest of data is in our database. So it's like behind the scenes, right? And if someone decides to pay for the access of the data and we provide the access to this 100 megabyte of data, right? Yep. Then he is able, having this data, to calculate this hash himself. So when he can calculate this hash, he can compare it against blockchain database and to validate that the data provided by us is correct, right? This is the trick, because we don't have to store all the data. We just have to like have a proof that what we are, let's say, selling to those people that are buying this data is true. Because if not, let's say this centralized solution cannot prove you that, let's say, they gave you the right data. Maybe this was just like invented by them, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And here we have this organizer first that he created this survey. He conducted the survey and he conducted it. So he knows he can validate the data himself and to see that we stored on the blockchain this data. And later on, the next party takes this data and also can validate. So this is like this chain of trust, or it's really not really trust, because it's like trustless. You don't need trust to trust anyone. So this is what we are doing, and in fact we have also a couple of other ideas how to make it like economic, right? Or just to have this advantage of also price advantage over like standard companies.
Of course.
Right?
They're crazy expensive. I spend, I think for my current, SurveyMonkey, it's expensive. If there was a way that if there's a way that you can incentivize people to use the service, and then incentivize people to answer the surveys, and then be able to do it on EOS. And also, like you said, for large events, I think that that's really cool. The fact that it's got 100% transparency is also an additional bonus. Let's talk about some of the token economics. Let's talk about the ICO. Let's talk about how that's been going so far in a world where people have been handing off their airdrops for free. I know it's definitely kind of 1 in a million. Do you want to speak about that a little bit?
Yes, because right now, to be honest, we don't have really good results. We are struggling, to be honest, and I know that people are registering, but are like watching whether the other people will buy or not, whether this is a good business, have some chances to success, and so on. And in fact, this is not really also our problem, because I follow the other great project called Codum. They are doing the decentralized GitHub, and to be honest, I know that now they are struggling as we, but in fact. My idea was, just to let's be open about costs, right? To make a project like with this extent, right? With, let's say, SurveyMonkey competitor Survey Gizmo collecting $80 million US dollars to compete with SurveyMonkey, right? And not offering anything more, right? So to compete in this world, we simply cannot work in the garage, off time. Like it's not possible. So we, let's say, we are open that with certain like minimum, it will be simply impossible to make this project. Let's say we will think about like plan B, but at the same time, it's we don't want, let's say, to harm our early supporters, right? Because really, the first people risk the most, right? Because those first people do not know whether the other people will buy the tokens or will not, right? They are just like blindly buying and have no idea whether, I don't know, we will steal the money and so on, right? It's very, it's a high level of trust needed normally. So what we have done is we added this option to our ICO smart contract that at any time, if the number of the tokens sold is smaller than the minimum we want to gather, you can buy our tokens, and then you can simply send us the tokens back, and we are resending your EOS invested in the same transaction. So I mean, it's very fair, because now you simply don't risk anything, and the fact is that this option is available a week, after up to a week after the ICO. So you can simply invest in the ICO, like to buy the tokens and to see what will happen. And if we are successful, obviously, then you can enjoy that you invest in you bought the tokens of the project that will happen. But if it turns out that, okay, we do not like reach the minimum, you can simply, we will like send the summary after ICO, what is feasible with these funds, and you will be able to take the decision whether you want to take the risk or maybe you don't want to take the risk, and also to get your EOS back, right? So I think it's very important, let's say, not to harm those early supporters, because you know, it's like, okay, we have building like from scratch our community, and why they should suffer like the risk, right?
I love it, man. This is the first ICO on EOS, and it's a fully guaranteed ICO. So if you invest, and at the end of the turnaround, right, there's a smart contract that he has built directly into this thing, so that if you invest, and I believe what are the tokens are going for 15% or sorry 15 cents ICO price.
Yes, the token price is 15 cents. It's US dollars, and in fact, to make it happen, to make those calculations, we also developed the first the first Oracle smart contract on EOS platform. So I think that this is also our contribution into the platform, that we made a couple of things. I think that were like our direct contribution. I don't know whether you know, but also we have a small contribution to EOS platform native token. I mean that the code of EOSio token, I mean that you are using, has, if you check on GitHub, you know, I'm also among the authors. Yep. Because we made this small change that enabled checking the balance of the tokens from within other smart contracts. So I think that we contributed, you know, to EOS platform right now in multiple ways, and I believe that, you know, the many other ICOs will use also our solution, and I think that we did everything like to simply make people confident that they are investing like in they are buying the tokens of the company that is serious about their money, right? Sure. Because you know, I am investor myself, right? And last year I also had this idea that it must be simply better, you know, much better done that the ICOs on Ethereum. And in fact, it was our idea to run the ICO on EOS also because of that, right? Not only because we can make the project happen on EOS and not on Ethereum, but also that let's say the higher standards are needed, right?
Absolutely.
Right now.
I'm just going to go to finish off my previous thought there. So what you're doing here, and if people don't understand the amount of money that's in the survey industry, the research industry, the response industry, it's massive. As Filip mentioned, SurveyMonkey is an application that I use right now on the regular, that a lot of companies use right now on the regular. If he's able to duplicate it in a decentralized environment and do it with incentivized tokens, which he essentially has created, which is what the ICO was going on for, I think that's massive. I want you to win. I do these little experiments. Of course, I just started my Twitter up. This isn't necessarily a plug for Costa Rica Crypto, but I sent off a tweet, Filip, and this is what tells me kind of a little bit about you. And this is just a little bit of a social experiment. I'll send off tweets, and I know by the amount of engagement of those tweets, because I don't have a heck of a lot of people on Twitter, the amount of engagement, the amount of love that these tweets get, the amount of support that you have in the community. And I know that one little tweet I sent out yesterday was retweeted multiple times. And I also know that you have a lot of support in the community. The fact that this is the first ICO, it's an ambitious undertaking in a world of projects where people are throwing things away and make, you know, and kind of hoping that they'll make the market. And a lot of times they are. It's just taken a little bit longer. I think that it's brave for you guys to step up and do this. I think that the fact that it's decentralized, the fact that it's an ultimate replacement for SurveyMonkey, redistributing some of the profits towards the people who are providing the profits, as well as, you know, reciprocal income later on down the road if somebody else pulls your study. I love it. I think it's good. Not only that, I'm very impressed by your transparency, by the fact that you've built the smart contract into the code, and the fact that you've kind of done a contribution to the rest of the environment. Now, we've kind of skipped over something, and this is just, I don't want to drag this interview on for too long, but I think that I definitely want to mention this. How did the original selection of this tool, you know what I mean? You guys won a hackathon. Like, am I correct?
No. In fact, we won this community voting video pitch, because this was the refund for going to the hackathon. But in fact, I mean, it was a very funny story, but the funny story was that there were like 70 projects prepared the videos with their pitches. But the first rule said that 5 teams out of 10 will be, well, 5 teams out of 10 with the highest number of likes on YouTube will be selected by block.one. And in fact, block.one at the end had to cancel this requirement because 30 top teams simply bought their likes on YouTube. I mean, that because, you know, on YouTube, it's very easy to buy like. It's just, I checked that just to, you know, when I was corresponding with block.one, that it's simply, they have to cancel this requirement, and that like 1,000 likes costs $10. So, you know, there were many teams that you know, wanted to win for at any cost, and the funny story is that there were at the end some teams that had like 20,000 likes and 2,000 views. So this was really crazy, and in fact, you know, we are proud to be selected as one of the 5 teams out of those 70 with our pitch. But in fact, what I want to show you is that also we decided not to buy the likes, even though we could, and also I want to also say that Codum project was like decided to play fair. So this is what my point is, that, you know, I like them, and I think that also they are doing really great project, and I think that they played fair also. So also they have a really good track of being fair and transparent.
For sure. Okay, Filip, look, man, what I was kind of saying is the community likes you. All right, and I know that sounds weird, but I've got these weird little social scheme kind of things that I do to see. You have a lot of support out there. I think a lot of people like you a lot. I think they support you. I support you. I recognize what you're doing. I see the value in what you're doing. I love the fact, as I say, I use SurveyMonkey right now. If there was an alternative where I'm allowed, where, you know, I would have an opportunity to be able to incentivize with tokens to get better responses, more people who would respond, and also have access to other data. I think it's a great idea, man. And a lot of people think it's a great idea. I think you got thrown into choppy waters in a place where people are, you know, airdropping their products, their projects all over the place. But I still think that you'll do really, really well. I really encourage people to go and check out your website. I encourage people to go and hit you up in Telegram. I know how passionate you are about this stuff. And I think that everybody should go and have a good look at the ICO. It's a guaranteed ICO. This is the first ICO on EOS. And the beautiful thing is, this is a guaranteed ICO by a smart contract. If it goes through, you're not happy with the way it went, this man is not going to take your money and you know, fly off to Bahamas and hide on you. He's going to send it right back to you through a smart contract. It's a win-win situation. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you today, Filip. I love what you're doing.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It was a pleasure also to have a chance to talk with you and also your viewers.
Absolutely, my man. I'm still a small fish right now, but hopefully if I continue to do things with some of the innovators like yourself, we'll grow a little bit. But do go check.
I think that we are both like innovators in this world. We are starting new things. So I hope that you will be like, you know, after, you know, sometime you will be like a recognized, you know, YouTuber that, you know, was one of the first to discover EOS, right? Because we are still really, you know, I think that we are still a community with nice chances to grow, right?
Me too. I think EOS has proven itself every day, man. It's proving itself every day with the caliber of projects that are coming out, with some of the ways that people are finding just ways to disrupt what's going on and put the money in the hands of the people and back in the hands of the people. I mean, if I'm answering a survey, my time is valuable. I think it's cool that you've invented a way to be able to compete with some of the bigger guys and reward me for doing that. I completely support your project. I love your project. I'll definitely be talking to you again. And once again, I encourage everybody to head over to Irespo.com. I'm going to post the links down below. Go talk to Filip in Telegram. He's a very approachable, very intelligent, and very good-willed guy. The ICO is guaranteed. If you're not happy with the way it went down, you can get your EOS back. So make sure you head over, have a chat with him, and just an absolute pleasure, my friend. I can't wait to talk to you again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for appearing, and we will see you soon, okay?
Yes.
Okay. Bye, Filip.
Let's stay in touch. Bye-bye.